Hi, my name's Assheton and today I'm going to prepare and cook some trout fillets. I'm going to show you how you can smoke it very easily at home and then cook a couple of recipes using those smoked trout fillets. First of all, I'm going to make a lovely salad with Jersey roll, new potatoes and watercress. And secondly, I'm going to serve the smoked trout with some grated beetroot and horseradish on some griddled sourdough. So first of all, I'm going to show you how to prepare your trout fillets ready for smoking. So I've got this lovely trout and the head and the tail have been taken off and the two fillets have been taken off the main body of the fish, leaving me with this double butterfly fillet. So I'm just going to use my filleting knife to separate these two fillets, placing it at an angle against this fillet and taking the knife down through the skin, making sure that I'm skirting around these fin bones in the middle. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing from the other side, again at an angle, so I'm not wasting any of the flesh. So that's all the main bits of bone taken away from the fish, but you'll still find that there's a long line of what's called pin bones down the middle of each fillet. These are very small but quite multiple, and it's really important to make sure that you remove all of them. I've got this handy pair of pliers, and the trick is to pull the pin bones out at the angle so that they don't tear the flesh as they come out. So now we've got our trout fillets and they're all prepared and pin boned, and before you start smoking it's a good idea to salt your fillets. Now this firms up the texture of the fish and it also intensifies the flavour. And all I'm going to do is take about a tablespoon of sea salt and sprinkle it over the flesh side of the fish. Then I'm just going to cover the plate in cling film and put it in the fridge for about half an hour. Right, so I've just taken my salted trout fillets out of the fridge. They've had their half an hour, and what's happened is that the salt has drawn out the moisture from the flesh, as I mentioned before, intensifying the flavour and firming up the texture. What they need now is a good thorough rinse and then to be dried thoroughly with some kitchen paper. So our trout fillets have been salted, rinsed and dried, and now they're ready to smoke. So I've got my little stovetop smoker here, and what I'm going to do is put a tablespoon or so of smoking chips in the bottom of it. I'm using alder for this, which is really nice to use with fish because it's quite mild and delicate and it won't overpower the flavour of the fish. So there's just a little pile of smoking chips in the bottom there. And then I need to sit this tray on top. And just to make the washing up a little bit easier, I'm going to line that with some tin foil and sit it straight on top of the smoking chips. This wire rack then sits on top of the tray, and we can just put the fish straight in. So both of these fillets will fit quite neatly in this smoker, and I'm going to place them in here skin side down. Then it's just a case of putting the lid on and sitting it on the stove. So what I'm going to do is leave the lid of the smoker very slightly open, and I'm going to sit it on my preheated stove top. And when the very first wisps of smoke start appearing out of that gap, I'll then close the lid and set the timer for 15 minutes. So we've got our lovely smoked trout fillets which have been allowed to cool, and I'm now ready to assemble the salad. So the first thing I'm going to do is make the dressing, and in this bowl I've got 50 grams of creme fraiche, and to that I'm going to add some Dijon mustard, about a tablespoon, and some sherry vinegar, again about a tablespoon. And I'm just going to stir those very thoroughly together to combine them. So I've had some Jersey Royal new potatoes boiling, and they're now drained and ready to combine with the dressing. It's a really good idea to do this while the potatoes are still warm so that they absorb all those lovely flavours. My potatoes were cut into even sized pieces so they cooked evenly, and now I'm going to slice them into quite thick, generous slices, about 1 centimetre wide. So my potatoes have been sliced and coated in the creme fraiche dressing, and I'm now going to add in some finely chopped spring onion and some capers. I like to buy the capers that are packed in salt rather than brine. I think they have a much better flavour, but it's really important to rinse them and then dry them very carefully before using them. And I'm just going to stir that through, and then we can leave the potatoes to cool, and while they do so, all those lovely flavours will start to develop from the warmth of the potatoes. So my potatoes have cooled in their dressing, and I'm ready to assemble the final dish. So I've got my trout fillets, my potatoes here with the capers and spring onions and the creme fraiche dressing. I've got some watercress leaves, and I've just removed the thickest stalks from those, and some chives. The first thing I'm going to do is just check the seasoning on my dressing and see if it needs any more. I think that's absolutely fine. I'm not actually going to add any more to it. All I am going to add are some chives, which I'm going to snip in. And then I'm just going to add these pieces of watercress into the bowl as well. And give it all a good stir together, just being careful not to break up the potatoes too much. So now I'm going to plate it up. I'm going to take one of the trout fillets and turn it over and just pull off the skin. It should come off really easily. And then I can just flake off bits of trout and sit it on top and round and about the other ingredients. And the final thing I'm going to add is some chive flour. If you happen to have them available, they just make a really nice finishing touch on top of the salad. So now I'm going to show you another recipe using the other smoked trout fillet which I prepared earlier. This time I'm going to take some beetroot, raw beetroot, which I grated using the grating disc on a food processor. If you don't have one of those, then the coarse side of a box grater will work very well. I'm going to fry that beetroot in some butter and add some horseradish, creamed horseradish, and some red wine vinegar. And then I'm going to serve that fried beetroot with the smoked trout on some griddled sourdough toast, and serve that with some lamb's lettuce on the side and a dollop of sour cream. So here's my sourdough, nicely griddled. I'm just going to pop that on the plate and top it with some of this lovely grated beetroot with the horseradish and the red wine vinegar. I'll then take the skin off the trout fillet just like I did before. And once again just flake it over the top. So I'm just going to finish the dish with a little handful of lamb's lettuce and a spoonful of sour cream. So all it needs now to finish it off is a grinding of black pepper and a sprinkle of some chopped dill. And that's another lovely way to enjoy your smoked trout fillets. So hopefully I've shown you how very easy it is to smoke your own trout fillets at home and given you a couple of useful recipes in which you might use them. So I made the smoked trout and Jersey royal new potato salad with a creme fraiche dressing, and also the smoked trout on griddled sourdough with some grated beetroot and horseradish. I hope you'll really enjoy trying these recipes, and thank you very much for watching.